the map while the song is playing, and then everyone is confused. And
yeah, that's what we'll do.
What do you want me to show?
Well, they brought the first monkey in, and never what a sight. He juggled a banana, but he just couldn't get it right. Second monkey was a jumper, bouncing high and low, but he missed the final leap, and the crowd said, "Oh no!" But the 13th monkey, he stole the show. You know about star forts, don't you know? He spoke and he pointed and he never went wrong. The 13th monkey, he was perfect all along. Number 3 monkey, what a charmer with a little bow tie. But he tripped on his shoes, oh how he did cry. Monkey number 4 played the drums with a crazy beat, but he lost his rhythm and fell off his seat. But the 13th monkey stole the show. You know about star forts, don't you know? He spoke and he pointed and he never went wrong. The 13th monkey, he was perfect all along. Monkey 1 to 12, they tried their best, but they just couldn't pass the test. Then came 13 with a sparkle and a grin. He had that magic touch and the crowd let him in. Monkey number 5 tried to paint with colors so bright, but he spilled all the paint, what a colorful sight. Number 6 rode a bike with a little honk, but he crashed into a tree. Every crowd let him in, but the 13th monkey, he stole the show. He knew just what to do, oh boy did he know. He danced and he sang and he never went wrong. The 13th monkey, he was perfect all along. So here's to the 13th, the star of the night, with his perfect moves and his smile so bright. He showed us all how to shine and be strong. The 13th monkey, where we all belong.
Well, all you cool kids out there, that's the new hit, 13th Monkey. Make sure you get that on vinyl. Good to hear from you, buddy. How you been?
Thanks. That's a great intro. Thanks.
I love you, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Good to hear from you.
That's always good.
Oh, Travis says, don't you know my work schedule, Xirtus? I feel like everybody watching the show, you're going to need to go into Discord and just interface your work schedule, just so that we know, we'll just work around you.
You can get your calendar synced, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we're going to do it. 13th Monkey, as you might know, Mike, he's one of the geniuses of the old order, we'll call it. He's been doing this since the beginning, and he hasn't stopped. Just because you haven't seen him all the time, it's like the Willy Wonka thing. Like, he's behind this gate working on amazing stuff. And I talked to him recently. I was like, we should do a Starfort video. He's like, yeah, right. You're kidding. And I'm like, no, seriously. So I was, oh, okay. So then he's got his app together here. And you've got thousands of more things since last time.
When was last time?
Last time,
3 years ago,
on Adventures in Xirtus.
So
yeah,
I know that we definitely did an
with,
episode a few years ago on Team Rabbit Hole, where you went on for 4 hours and showed a lot of star forts.
True.
Yeah.
And we did a show about a month ago or something, Starfort mapping, and I'm sure there's more shows on Xirtus channel. These are just the ones that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
and of course you have your own channel.
You were scattered all over the internet now, and there are just so many videos. So hopefully, the point is, if you haven't seen every other video, you should.
My channel itself isn't all that spectacular in that. I just have a whole bunch of the old shows that we did with Andreas and Victor and Nathan. And on my channel, you find those unedited. Pretty much. I made a couple of other videos, but I'm not very inclined to talk to myself whilst I'm doing this, I guess.
Well, what about showing us then and telling us what you're looking at? I mean, I think we had talked a bit about how you said, what was the last thing you said to me? It was like it's all about Tartaria. And that was 2 days ago, I feel like.
Did I? No, what I mentioned more is I'm just a guy that maps stuff out. I love the song. I know all about star forts, but it's not that much of a truth. I'm pretty good at finding them, mapping them out and referencing old maps to what we're looking at here on what Google presents as Earth.
Right.
I guess that's my my main forte. Don't ask me what the star forts did. I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to all of that stuff, but I don't know. I'm just good at mapping, and this went from just star forts to adding castles on hilltops, small towers along coastlines, fortifications that have not necessarily like a star pattern, but there is bastions present.
Maybe it's worth telling people. I mean, for the people who weren't with us for years, this is like maybe new information to somebody. Let's just say bastion forts are these snowflake-looking star forts, right? And there are tons of these snowflake-looking Mario Brothers star forts all around the world, and more we seem to find them all the time. We being the Kemosabe that is 13th Monkey. Can you zoom in a little bit just to show like the colors on your map? Each color here is one of those star forts or something like it.
I'm trying to
Wow, computer enhance. Yeah, exactly. There's just thousands and thousands of them.
I'm trying to keep up with the time. Like YouTube presents me with a bit of lag, so I'm trying to zoom into something that YouTube isn't.
For sure. Well, I can already see one. I can see several around a larger one, really.
This isn't as spectacular in the sense that like this is pretty big. I mapped all of the canals and the borders of the canals out. But in the scheme of star forts, this one is fairly new. In that like this city didn't exist for the longest of time. So you look at old maps of the Netherlands, and you'll find that most of this part of the country was nothing but lakes. All of this is old lakes that were dried out at some point, and they put neat dikes around the whole place and pumped all the water out. And that's what the Dutch are really good at.
Yeah, I mean, amongst other things, I mean, they're pretty great at making pogo sticks and frisbees now, I've noticed. But, I mean, hey, that's a lot of land that's been reclaimed.
And just because you're bringing it up just right now, and I actually honestly received a call just before the show started of a friend and was like, oh, I have to send you this video. Not sure if he sent it yet, but it was something about the idea of a so-called Pannonian Sea. So the idea that even around Vienna, or I still have to figure it out exactly, that it could also have been underwater, just because you're mentioning that right now. So I found that fascinating, but I'll have to look more into it. If that could even be a possibility, or maybe look at elevation maps or something. I mean, it is known, the Wiener Becken or Vienna Basin is like a known term.
I think it falls within the realm of possibilities, Raf. Looking just a quick glance at Google Earth and looking at heights. Like this lake could be much bigger.
This Neusiedler See, yeah. This is like the sea everyone knows in Burgenland, yes, I think, if you zoom in. But there's nothing else, I think, there. Because the next one then is on the southeast, which is Balaton there, yes, in Hungary. Yeah. Anyhow, I'll look more into it, and next time I'll come on with it. But I just heard this idea of like a Pannonian sea or something like this, and that maybe some cities or whatever had access to water in a different way.
It is along the Danube, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Which is one of the biggest rivers in Europe, if not the biggest river in Europe.
So for me, I still have, of course, our presentation in mind where we gave an overview. Is there anything that you would like to talk about in particular today, or something recent, or I don't know, however you would wish to proceed? Or
for me, it's a it's a matter of changing whatever isn't star forts into that. That's what I'm currently working on, changing all of these into the square cities they actually are. Like Beijing.
All right. That
is,
looks pretty cool, actually.
Is a square
Different
city.
shapes. Because those I think I didn't see before at all. This shape is very new, no? The square.
No, not necessarily.
Not just on your map. Just on your map. I hadn't seen it before, or I was blind.
Oh, right. No,
Also
this
possible.
this whole area in Cambodia has long been squares because of
All right, and I just didn't notice that symbol, however that is even possible. But I mean, I was too locked onto the stars, maybe. All right, okay, that's great. Yeah.
the Khmer Empire.
Which empire?
Khmer, Khmer, Khmer. The ancient Khmer Empire, because there was a second one, and they made all the people eat
Khmer
bugs.
Rouge, no, the communists.
Yeah,
also.
the Khmer Rouge. Yeah, that's it. That's the
Oh,
second
yeah,
Khmer.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
right. Oh, yeah,
They
because they have
made all the people eat bugs.
with the cool hot Skeletor helmet. Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite hat.
But all of these people had like square type cities, and that's a thing that returns all over Eastern Asia up into Mongolia.
Straight up a perfect square.
Yeah, and the whole of Eastern Asia and Southeast Asia is filled with it.
Wow.
Like I said, all of the blue stars, most all of the blue stars are just square cities here. You know?
Dang. Interesting. Jeez. That's so Borg.
Oh yeah.
Also, that's all water around it, correct?
Yeah.
So
In
this is
case,
kind of
it
like
is.
an Aztec city, you know, like built on water. On swampland.
Oh, but all of this is swampland. This is the Yangtze Delta, the Yellow River. That's where most of China lives.
Wow. And so that line, is that supposed to be the Great Wall, or what's up with that line of things?
This is the Great Walls, plural.
Yeah.
But this is the wall that the people get to see. Like if you go to China, you tell somebody, I want to see Great Wall. This is where it'll take you.
And then that's the Greater Wall you're not allowed to see?
And there's another wall all the way here. There used to be a wall running from here all the way into North Korea, but I haven't found as much remains of it yet.
Interesting.
Do you know if anyone has traveled to these other walls, or are they like actually restricted?
I don't know. China is pretty weird when it comes to visa. Like if you have a good specific reason to be somewhere in China other than the 3 provinces you're not allowed, which is in the West. You can, like, I've seen documentaries of people driving on through China on motorbikes. So,
Right, yeah, those guys, yes. I'm aware of that, yeah. It's just, would be curious. Just I find it interesting, like you say, they bring you to a particular spot. Of course, there's some things they probably rather want you to see than others. We have a request from Julia, who's at the hair salon. She says she wants to see the star forts in Romania and Poland. Please.
we can do that.
How much you bet the people doing her hair at the nail salon, the hair salon, they're Polish and Romanian, and they're like, they're gonna be like, that's my
Put
home.
it on the big screen.
That's my home.
All right. So that's Romania.
A beautiful, noble country.
And show a couple of
Full
the
of fantastic
along
hair.
Along the Danube. Not as much star forts, but
Numa
that's
Numa, hey, here we go.
castle.
I had to do at least 3 Romanian jokes. I'm sorry, Raph. Don't cry.
That's the remains of a castle, even though you can't really see.
I'm gonna say Romanian remains. I'm sorry.
You go ahead and say Romanian remains. That shows it a little better.
See, this is scary to me because you're looking at things that the Soviet Union could have just decided to erase. You know, these are like,
Yeah.
they look like quarry sites now. I mean, kind of.
Well, how much did they erase is the other question around. Maybe there was just too much.
I mean, this looks like an Etch-a-Sketch with too much sand on one side. Yeah.
See if we can actually find something that looks like something. There you go. That's very clear remains of a city, right? In the wall. A little bastion point here. Oh wait, I'm going too fast again, aren't I?
No, it's okay. I think it's okay. But this is
I don't know
completely
because I'm looking
this is
I'm looking at the
uninhabited.
yeah. I'm looking at the YouTube as well to pick up on at least some of the comments, but YouTube has like 5 to 10 seconds lag. So I'm not sure what the people see whilst I'm talking.
You're making me think of that scene in Scream with like, oh no, there's a lag, and all of a sudden, in the van.
Lag.
Is this still Romania? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot more. I mean, there seems like there's a lot more going on. I mean, I don't know. Romania's obviously had a lot of history, but so much of it was erased and rebuilt in the last 60 years. So it's crazy.
Not just the last 60 years. Like, keep in mind that the Ottoman Empire had a lot to say here for a good long while.
Right. Yeah, but
they did a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of fortifications along the Danube that were at some point in the hands of the Ottoman.
Yeah, that's all I can imagine them building. But I meant the Soviet Union destroying things in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The Soviet Union in Romania, the Romanian state, destroyed all of the peasant housing, all of it, and then they said they were going to put them into these apartment buildings, which they never quite finished. It took them decades and decades and decades, and there's just they created a homeless problem. But in the process, they destroyed all of the neighborhoods, and some of those neighborhoods were very ancient. Neighborhoods built around water supplies, you know, things that would be similar to how where star forts are located. Even if
that's one of the best examples of a star city in Romania.
Wow. See, and here I was just worried that we were only going to find squares from now on. Look at that. That's very nice. Very nice, Mike. And it's so big. And then, like, look at all around it. It seems like the entire... after you have a star fort, it seems like the rest of the town continues on in that... Like, look at it. Everywhere around it, like, it's hedged out. Defined by that star fort, the initial star fort.
Amsterdam is a good example of that.
Vienna city center, yeah.
Yeah, and because once you've got a center that has water and everything else, then you can start to disperse it. Wow.
Was that other city really called Alba Iulia? Because I didn't really catch it. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the name.
Alba Iulia. Yeah, Alba Iulia.
Snowflakes all over Romania.
There you go.
Hey. And that's been modernized.
Modernized or restored.
Yeah.
Turned into their vision, whatever.
The Soviet vision.
But not just the Soviet vision. This happened all over Western Europe too.
True.
I mean,
But yeah, they didn't destroy them all.
Yeah, either they got destroyed or they just got built out so much that it looks like a sprawl, and they tore down the wall, like in Vienna.
Yeah.
So you don't recognize it anymore.
Yeah, it's the same. The only reason you recognize Amsterdam is because the canal has the shape of the bastions. But if the canal wasn't there, you wouldn't have a clue.
Julia keeps feeding us info. They say the Tartaria tablets were found 19 miles from that star fort. I'm not sure if we had brought them up before. They were actually first mentioned to me also in Romanian, Tartaria tabletu or something.
Yep.
Maybe I want to look them up again. I'll take a look. You are so welcome, Julia.
Poland has a couple of really nice fortified cities. Yeah, you can't initially see it. There you go. Just build out from there. Maybe this shows better in other year. There you go. Old fortifications outside of the city.
Oh, Michelle Gibson. I thought he was talking about Michael's just spelled wrong. And I thought it was like maybe like a 13th Monkey Gross Michelle banana reference. Never mind.
What?
You know, the Gross Michelle. The Gros Michelle banana. Well, now that you guys made me feel weird about it, I'm just gonna pull it up.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Yeah.
See, it's two here, right? It's a whole line of defense. There's probably more to be found here anyways, but yeah, there's only so much time in a day. So much interest in this work, and yeah.
So you still do this, and like you've seen a lot of star forts. What is it that still interests you and brings you curiosity about this idea of
other stuff?
Yeah, what is it?
It's just other stuff that I also look up, and then it's like, hey, is that a star fort?
No, but why? But why? I mean, so at this point, that the world is covered in star forts, probably from some other culture than the current one, right? What beyond that, you're always like, yeah, I don't like to speculate too hard,
Nope.
So
I don't.
So what is it that keeps you excited about other stuff?
Oh, I have a collect too on Google Earth.
But what's keeping you curious about it?
Well, Google Earth.
Just like it? You just think it's cool?
It's just seeing other places that I'll probably never go.
Well, don't say that. We'll go. We'll take you. Are you kidding me? Check under your seat, Mike.
Mike, didn't you mention that you actually received, because Melissa's asking, some particular data sets from Russia or China at some point?
I did get that there is a public file available on the net where you can get a whole bunch of star forts from a Russian guy or girl. I don't know. Could also be Ukrainian. I don't know. It's Cyrillic. I cannot find for the life of me a name of somebody that did it. But yeah, there is a big file. Let me flick that on. Where's that? I think it's that one. No, that's not it. Or it could be it. And it changed the... Ah, yeah, this is it. So as you can see, most of it has actually been copied already. If you zoom into most of the red dots, you will find that there is already a star marker of sorts. And in some cases, there's star markers where there is no red mark. And the other way around, because sometimes I just really don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this takes you to a retro map. That's a Russian link. I don't think it works on Google Earth. It doesn't even show anything. No, it doesn't work. Figured. You want a widescreen? But I can't. If I haven't copied it, I haven't found anything that looks like it, because the person that made this file wasn't all that 100% correctish. As in, I found forts that were supposed to be kilometers away from where he put the mark.
Really?
Uh-huh.
And there's several examples of that. And I just don't know what I'm supposed to be filling in. Am I filling in somebody's daydreaming, or am I filling in somebody's inaccurate work?
It's all pareidolia, as Stellium 7 would say. Joking.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Or also Andreas? Also, I believe I can hear myself most slightly. Feedback from maybe you, Mike. I'm not sure. Anyhow,
No, that couldn't be. I have
Thomas.
headphones.
Yes, then maybe it's Andreas. So, do we have any records of star forts in use, or who commissioned the building of them? Do we have any records of anything? Someone earlier wrote like
The
East
first
India
one we're
Company
looking at.
or custom stations or military.
All of this was ordered by whomever Napoleon was. All of this. Like I said earlier in the episode, this is one of the new star forts in the scene of things. Like, I'm pretty sure that there is a whole bunch of old earthworks that were used for possibly thousands of years. But there's also a whole bunch of fortifications built because, well, this type of fortification worked back in the day. Let's build one now.
Right. Yeah, Jacob Bogle, I put the link up for his website, and
Yeah, he didn't want to work with me.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Was it my fault? It's probably my fault.
No, it wasn't your fault. No.
Well, I've had him on, and I've talked to both of you, and obviously he doesn't want to. He does want to corroborate the official narrative. Okay, which is not a good or bad thing. I think everyone should be doing both. Having someone that critically analyzes everything to try to tear apart the official narrative is, to me, as important as knowing what the official narrative is. So Jacob Bogle's done a pretty good job looking at Arabic and Italian influences around the world that have led to more and more like either redistribution of star forts or retrofitting of star forts, because obviously in the last few centuries it's just so practical, like Mike has said, to use these things for defense. I mean, they're both bless you, they're both environmentally defensive against earthquakes and storms and floods, but also you can strategically shoot any direction, right? You're protected from all angles and can offense from all angles. So star forts were practical, and they're going to be picked up. And of course Napoleon, and he's all over the world. Russians too. There are star forts in Hawaii. So there is an official narrative. You could say, oh well, military personnel all over the world were talking to each other, and there is sort of a secret subculture of military that transcends all nations, and that was somehow responsible for the emergence of a military culture, which its apex was the star fort, right? That's kind of the official narrative, that it just sort of evolved to be the most practical thing with influences from all over the world.
One sec.
It's all right, bro.
I gotta get rid of this.
You hit that bong, bro. That's all right.
That's not a bong. It's a 4-week cold that keeps on going. I'll be right back.
I like to pretend you're having a good time,
Always.
I love you. Yeah, no, but take care of yourself. These star forts, they could be just, wow, amazing that all of these different stone soup ingredients came together because military people come from all over the world. Naval people come from all over the world. There will be people in Africa that get on a boat with people from Italy, that the boat's owned by Spain, that's actually under the conquest of the Dutch, and they're going to North America. Yeah, that's totally reasonable, right? Like that could be a official history. The thing about it is there's just so many more ancient star forts. It's not just that they culminate in the 19th century, There are star forts 15th century, 12th century, 9th century, 3rd century, BC,
But
right?
we have
Before-
no construction photos or construction documentation of any of those, I guess. Or do we?
And the ones that are super ancient aren't less sophisticated. The 4,000-year-old star forts just as geometrically sophisticated. So it doesn't look like they just sort of evolved and after thousands of years reached a peak. It doesn't look like that at all. It's more like, oh, in the future, people started realizing that in the past this worked, like an almost unlocking of secrets. So I don't know. I'd say that while Jacob Bogle's website is really detailed, has a lot of information, I don't think it's necessarily a more correct explanation. The main difference is I don't think 13th Monkey you've really bothered to offer. You don't tell us that Scientologists came down from Xenu to build this. You don't give us a theory.
No, I don't. I really don't know.
That
It could
bothers
be
people,
anything.
I
I'm
guess.
pretty open-minded.
Yeah, I'm about to say we should make up some crazy stuff, then get 100x the views. I'm not even sure what to
that's
say.
how
It was built by
kind of
the
alien.
It was built by the 13th race of monkeys. You see,
Exactly. Yes.
that's how a lot of people in the research community actually get a lot of people listening to them talk bullshit.
we really ought to do that more. You're right. 13th Monkey actually invented all of these star forts himself, and he's been working really hard on them.
He's a reincarnated time traveler and is now just mapping his own achievements over the eons. And that's
And
what
you
he's
do all
can-
these things.
You can too. Join X Church. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Let's see if we get. There you go.
I like that you haven't. I mean, you have to understand. This is years later now. You still haven't a presupposition because you're getting more and more data. And so, if you had gone with the first thing you were thinking it could have been 4 or 5 years ago, you would have gone through 4 or 5 debunkings of that already. Because when I first was talking to you, you're like, well, there's nothing over here. Now there's thousands of things you found over there, wherever that is. So it's changed your whole paradigm.
I think it's important to keep an open mind when it comes to this stuff because people keep researching stuff, like the actual history about these things. That's one I want to bring up because this one has been brought up like a billion times in many a desk chair.
Oh my god, let's
video.
move there. Where is this one?
Oh yeah.
They make this thing out to be impossible, and I can tell you straight up, it's bullshit. It's completely possible.
I want to live there. Can we buy this island?
This thing can
What do we
be made by enough people because it's a coral brick fort.
Yeah.
Guess what this is? All of this. Coral.
Coral, and also
There
this
is
is
a never-ending supply of coral bricks right next door.
This is ideal in so many ways because you could crash any ship who doesn't know their way around here before they ever get near your base, and you can make sure your base is protected from floods. It's perfect. The Dutch know all about it.
There is. I can't tell you a reason as to why to build a fort here.
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, look,
It's
pull
absolutely possible.
Pull out real far. Pull out real far. Look in between where, let's say you're the Barbary pirates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
This is the ideal. It's the ideal place because you can go from one to another. You have a spot that you can stop. You can tariff anyone trying to travel around you. Prime location.
I don't know if it's a prime location. If you have a boat, you can sail around it.
A lot of boats at
But
that time.
it's
bringing
definitely
gold.
not an impossibility to build this because there is plenty of coral. You can just put this down. You can easily put this down.
These islands, a lot of these, especially in the later.
And another one I want to bring up.
And of course, the question is if water levels could have been a bit different. It also
There are
changes
missing
the-
islands there, right? That's supposed to be one of those places where there's the missing island. But those are also, sugar and slave trade and tobacco. Like, of course, they're gonna have banks. These islands, these star forts, become banks of resources. Wow, look at this one.
Yeah, so this was recently called impossible because it has over 100 million bricks. And that is just where would they get the bricks from? but nowhere does he mention. I'm not going to name names, but nowhere does he mention the fact that it took the people 100 years to build this city. 100 years. And you can't make 100 million bricks in 100 years. That's a lazy fucking brick maker. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, sounds American.
Like, the amount of research that people put into these things is shit. Sorry. If you want to research it, go there and actually find things out instead of blapping things from a page.
But Mike, people couldn't do anything before, the vaccine and the internet. Like, we weren't even capable of brick molding.
Yeah, we can't do shit as people, right? Current day people, they really can't do anything.
Okay, well, that's amateurs. Different. Current day people can't do anything.
Maybe
that's
it's
true.
a question of mindset, probably. Which then again is a sad statement.
I'm going to take you to a modern piece of architecture that would have been called sheer impossible. I know that one. The other one. Is it the Burj Dubai?
Dubai is completely natural, bro. In 100 years, history will tell.
This thing is a kilometer up in the fucking sky. And there is video of this thing being built.
God, there's a sick part of me that wants to live in Dubai, I swear. Look at that.
You really don't, but anyways.
I said a sick part.
That's beside the point. Look at it. People can build this stuff. Modern people doing marvelous things. I don't like it. It's not pretty, but it's an astonishing feat of engineering. Modern people can do really, really, really cool shit, and that's something that the research community tends to forget.
In Dubai, yeah, like people don't.
It's not just in Dubai, dude. It's world over.
People don't live around. I think a lot of these major new megaliths that they're working on, they're a bit more few and far between and run by there's one group around the world that's building all of those too.
Yeah, because those there where the people live that would be interested in it, they already live comparatively in the old world, or where you have much less or much more development and therefore maybe less of these megastructures like they have in whatever Astana and whatever else. I mean, who even gets to be there ever?
All right, yeah, like Ashgabat, Astana, places nobody is really allowed.
So maybe
to
that's
go.
where people are not familiar with the possibilities we have today, because where could you see it? Only somewhere where you have maybe even more strange governments than in the West. No one's asking questions. You have unlimited labor supply and all of that. You can make it affordable.
I wonder if this is like a major reason why Holland is the way it is. Like if the Netherlands have liberty or freedom of expression more, just because star forts make it like natural. Like there's a stability to it.
Well, in that line of thought, there isn't a single computer on Earth that runs without that works if it doesn't have Dutch chip architecture. There's 2 companies in the world that can make processors for computers, like AMD and Intel. It's Dutch architecture. The whole design of the chip is Dutch.
That makes perfect sense.
Do you know which part by chance, like which patent or which the x86 architecture or which aspect?
Lord, I couldn't tell you. I have a friend that could, but I'm not that tech savvy. It's just a neat little fact that I remember, because Dutch are really, like, as in the Netherlands is extremely rich. Extremely rich, as in possibly the richest country on Earth.
Okay, maybe this relates to ASML Holdings NV, Advanced Semiconductor Materials Lithography. Maybe that's related to what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the chemical photolithography.
Yeah, just think about the fact that the Netherlands is the second biggest food exporter in the world.
That in itself is insane. I mean, Dutch East India Company.
In
I only
the world.
visited 2-3 times, like Amsterdam and in countryside a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you can tell it's nicely built out and so on. But yeah, I guess years of
Our
successful trade is what gets you that, if you get to keep some of it or something.
yeah, and part of our fortunes come from being cocaine suppliers in World War One.
Oh, well, there you go.
The Netherlands
imagine
was
if you guys
neutral
just
in
stuck,
World
if
War
you guys
One.
just stuck
So,
with it.
like a lot of the destruction of old world buildings that happened in World War One, especially in France, Germany, Austria, those places all got torn to shreds. Whereas the Netherlands was just happily producing cocaine in Indonesia, shipping it to Amsterdam, and ta-da! The only official cocaine factory, royal cocaine factory ever
Yeah, I mean,
in the world.
who's gonna beat or who's gonna bite the hand of their dealer, especially if it's a dealer for all the different war parties and they all need their stuff.
Exactly. That's exactly what we did. We supplied all of them. You need your drugs, huh? There you go. Yeah, we're a bunch of traders and traders, not traitors. Maybe traitors too.
Yeah, there's some
And then we
context
have
there.
that that water management trick that we pull off exceptionally well. Because Dubai, where we were just looking, like you have the Palmyra Islands, and you have the World Islands, and all of those places that they put up out of nowhere. It's all Dutch companies doing that, dredging companies. Suez Canal is being kept sand free by a Dutch dredging company. The sea walls around New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, built by Dutch companies. The Kursk, that Russian submarine that sank, like, how long is that? That is a good long while ago, but that was dredged up by a Dutch company. We're good with water stuff, like really good with water stuff.
I mean, also just we talked about this at some point, the interesting history of the Netherlands being under the control of Spain, which is under the control of the Cordoba Caliphate, and so the Arabic influences, like tulip meaning turban, the obsession with sacred geometric math, the allowance for crazy things like Spinozian atheism, or
We
the
really didn't like the Spanish though. Like they
No,
tried and come conquer us because like the Brits were Protestants.
right.
So we took all the fancy stuff from the churches and we're like, no, religion is something you need to suffer. That doesn't need to be pretty. It's religion, you know?
Well, I mean, the
And
Dutch
Spanish,
religion's
like,
chill,
no,
actually. I would argue.
Catholics.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
No, I mean,
Maybe.
the Dutch were chill compared to the I mean, considering the Catholics, the Muslims, and the Protestants and the influence on the Netherlands. The Netherlands goes through an iconoclastic period where they steal and liberate everything from these exterior churches, these colonial churches that were taking over the Netherlands. Netherlands rebels against that, and Spain has no power, arguably, over the Netherlands, and the Netherlands looks at Spain as a nuisance, right? Until they
What
end
year
up,
are we talking?
70. Hold on, it's 80-year war.
And Brian
1560 to
Brian
like
mentions
17.
William of Orange. That's a funny character.
1560s to like 1718, I'm saying, is when the Netherlands really transitions into what it becomes, and it's got all of these interesting, brilliant people that are isolated, and then there's a plague, right? Which I think the tulip famine is like peak genius, absurdity, insanity, because you're like, this is a brilliant people that have had everything taken from them and they're quarantined like COVID. This is also crazy. Do you remember how we talked about the tulip famine right before COVID quarantine? And what your
Tulip
theory?
famine, that's end World War II.
No, I'm sorry. The tulip hysteria of trading tulips.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
We
you
took that
had a
from
theory.
Turkey.
You had a brilliant theory. Well, Turkey, again, with the Arabic influence. I mean, again, turban, tulip, there's a lot to this. But you had said something that I hadn't considered before, and I laughed at it. And now I think you're 100% correct, which is the reason for the tulip famine. Or, I'm sorry, tulip hysteria. Why the Dutch were trading tulips for such a high value. Do you remember what you said?
Oh, that's a good while ago. I'll probably remember when you say it, but my
So-
memory is more visual.
So what you had told me was this idea, like, I think you were kind of joking. You're like, I think that, the tulip hysteria was kind of a joke. That these guys were serious, but they'd gone pretty much insane because they had been kept inside. They had all this money. They couldn't use it because of this, plague going around. And so what they ended up doing is they're like, I bet you those tulips are worth way more money. And then they, as like almost a drunk bar joke, started like saying those tulips were worth $1 million. Like they just started laughing hysterically as they raised the value of the tulips as they're just sitting in a room like hundreds of thousands, was it tens of thousands of miles away from where these tulips are being produced, right?
First stock exchange in the world, Amsterdam.
Right. So I mean, like, that's crazy. So again, that's because the Cordoba Caliphate loses control of Spain, which loses control of the Netherlands, which has the major military source from the Scandinavians that they've controlled. And the Dutch end up creating the Dutch East Indies Company. So they have so much power on their own because they were effectively running this for this nepotistic empire before. And it was a nuisance to them. So the Dutch ended up running it themselves. And all of a sudden, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. The Dutch are everywhere in the world. And no one understands this. Ever. I mean, like, the Dutch are in Chile, Indonesia.
And a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
It's crazy. There are Dutch in Oregon, Indonesia, Chile. It's hard to really explain. Like Africa. Like, think about it. If you go over anywhere in the world, you'll find Dutch everywhere in the world, in the most far-flung places, and all with their own bases and most of the coolest star forts, most of the coolest British bases, like New York, Wall Street. These are all Dutch bases. Yeah, it's really weird.
Sorry, I had to mute there for a second.
Yeah, you got awkward silence, so I had to put on the monkey song again.
Sorry.
This one has a little bit of that Sega Genesis MIDI 8-bit in the back there.
That's very cute.
The recurring question, where is the map? Where is the map?
Unavailable. Sorry.
He's fighting off a cold, friends. I want to pretend that he's actually just like taking like loads.
I'm not
loads
fighting
of
off a cold. I'm getting rid of something that has lasted for 4 weeks. That's why I couldn't come on last week.
Oh, that sounds almost worse. Have you talked to your Dutch health supervisors about which vaccine is right for you? You probably should just get vaccinated in the throat. That'll probably save your life. It'll probably save your life.
Get this man some honey. Yes, I agree. I should get a spoon of honey. There we go.
Man, do they have the Pepsi vaccine yet? Is that like a thing? Does PepsiCo make its own?
I just recently was tricked into trying it again. And, after not drinking any Coca-Cola for 10 years, it's interesting. But because the question was whether or not you can taste the synonym, that synthetic stuff. Oh, you're trying it now? Can you taste it? That cell line derived, supposedly.
I don't know what. I'm just like, so when my buddy died, for whatever reason, my mom wanted to buy a bunch of pop. So I bought like a case of Mexican Coca-Cola. And nobody wants them. I didn't want them at the time. Now I'm like, they're stuck and I have no water, like, until I go buy more water. So I have to drink Coca-Colas. It's like, this is the worst.
But the Mexican ones.
Oh, yeah.
But they're much better, no? They don't have they have
I
a
don't
different type of
believe
sugar.
I don't really believe that like sugarcane is the problem in Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? Like the corn syrup is pretty bad, I'm sure. But like, how many levels of evil are you before you're worried about corn syrup with Coca-Cola? You know.
Also
It's called the Coca-Cola Company for a reason, right?
all right, we're back at
Pemberton,
that.
John Pemberton, the inventor of the Coca-Cola medicine drink, which was made for headaches and that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Made
absolutely.
something called Pemberton Laboratories, which is still a thing today. And Pemberton Laboratories is the only company in the world today that is legally allowed to import cocaine leaves from Colombia.
Yeah. Speaking of the Dutch, right? I mean, for the love of God. Yeah. So this is what's really going on. You go to New Jersey, and the Coca-Cola Company through Pemberton Labs import the coca. They process it into cocaine. In the process of doing this, the syrup that's extracted from this, which has no cocaine anymore, that's brought to the Coca-Cola plant. And the cocaine that's extracted in this process, that's then brought and sold to like dentists, and it's Schedule II in the United States. So doctors, dentists, etc., can get their hands on cocaine, right? The military.
Sí,
so it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But they can also then use the excrement, right? They can use the extracted waste, and that has no cocaine in it, but it does have the alkaloids of coca. That's in Coca-Cola. Not that I'm a fan of Coca-Cola. Shame on them.
Nice logo, but whatever.
I do like, it's weird how it has like a kind of Arabic, it's creepy Arabic logo instead of like the normal sigil. That like, it's not like an AOL logo.
You mean the Coca-Cola logo?
Yeah, the Coca-Cola logo.
It's true. Yes.
It's really interesting.
There's three sixes hidden in it nicely as well.
But Coca-Cola also, aside from like gunning down natives and stealing their water, they also sell Japanese green tea, and like they bought Odwalla, and so they control all the organic
but
beverages.
That's how all of these multi-billion corporations work, right? I mean, Amazon owns a this and a that and a such and a such, and Bill Gates owns a this and a that and a such and a such.
Yeah.
I
just don't know. I wonder, is Coca-Cola as evil as PepsiCo? PepsiCo's a lot more evil than Coca-Cola, though, right? Like Coca-Cola is just kind of fascistic.
I mean, what is evil on this scale, anyways?
Evil's just live spelled backwards, Michael.
Oh, that's it. That must be that.
Have you heard of a company called Innocent Drinks, Innocent Limited?
Yeah,
they do like smoothies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're also literally owned by Coca-Cola, of course, which is kind of hilarious.
No, yeah, Coca-Cola owns all the Topo Chico is owned by Coca-Cola. My favorite mineral water. Like, I mean, there's a lot of different mineral waters you can get. But
even in Austria, there's quite a few.
12 of them are owned by Coca-Cola. Yeah, it's crazy.
Hey, Thomas, thanks for that honey tip. I have it standing right next to me, and I just keep on coughing and ignoring it. And
do you have apple cider? Do you have apple cider vinegar? Because like 2 spoons.
I'm out, but I should get.
I like to put 2 spoons of honey and apple cider vinegar, like 1 in 1, in a tall hot water glass, or like you can do like an herbal thing if you want. But that is a good that usually helps with this kind of thing. That and PepsiCo vaccinated directly into your eye, but I'm not
but that's without question.
But that's obviously,
right?
Yeah, the first thing you should do, I think.
That's without question.
Bless you. So here's Copenhagen. Here's some of my old stomping grounds.
Do you know Copenhagen has like this ridiculous moat around it as well?
I do. So like last summer, my brother and I went for like a day and a half on our way through Croatia, bringing our father, and I was like, oh man, we got to get to Christiania But I don't know. Should we take the bus? No, we can make it. And we just like drank a beer and ran like the whole way, like the whole moat until we got to Christiania. And it's great. It's a beautiful little, but it was exhausting because like, yeah, it's actually a lot bigger than you'd think it would be for a Mario City Star Fort. I think Christiania is in the east there.
You mean Christiania is
yeah. See there,
here, Freetown.
Right. Yeah, and you can see. I mean, of course, everything here is waterbound, but it makes perfect sense because if you're loading super heavy things, you're gonna put them on a boat, and it's everything going. Like, how far back does that go? Like to at least the pyramids of Giza. The idea of floating things. Brittany says, 13th monkey! 13th monkey. Bless you, 13th monkey.
Konbanwa. Oh, it's konnichiwa there. It's not konbanwa. Sorry.
Yes, in Minnesota, they say konnichiwa. Actually, I think they say salam alaikum. I know the mayor does. Minneapolis. You really got some. Solvermist says coughing equals mic mute, bro. Don't you know? I kind of like it when you cough though, because I haven't heard you in so long. Like even hearing you cough, I feel like you're babushka right now. You know, like it's good to hear. It's good to hear my boy. See, look what you did. Look what you did, Solvermist. Now I don't even hear the sound of silence. That hurt my feelings.
Well, they brought the first monkey in, and hell, what a sight. He juggled a banana, but he just couldn't get it right. Second monkey was a jumper, bouncing high and low.
I'm gonna zoom in here with you here. Frederick Stodden. Freetown Christianity. Yeah, so I got a hamburger right where your hand is. I don't know if it was a hamburger, but it is a sandwich thing. It's like a schmorburger. Smorgasburger. I don't think they called it that either. I feel like we could make a killing off calling it the Smorgasburger. I mean, what do you think about Denmark? Is it like as manufactured as Holland? I feel like Holland's prettier. I don't want to be rude, but isn't it though? Netherlands is kind of more articulate, and yet it seems like maybe the Netherlands is just like they did it. What's the reason that the Danish it doesn't look as it doesn't look as beautiful, right? It doesn't look. I mean, the Dutch star forts are really spectacular. You know what I mean? I wonder if it's like just
There
because
is
they cut
some,
down all their trees so early or something.
There is some really pretty Danish star forts. I mean,
Yeah. No, I love Denmark, but like, look how I don't know. Look at it and then go back to the Netherlands later and tell me how much more ornate everything is. Like the Netherlands are more ornate. There's some pretty parks, and I would say Christiania around the military area is probably the nicest in Denmark. But also Aarhus has a nice one. But yeah, no, I think the Netherlands are. Yeah,
a
shout
mini
out.
star fort.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that one. I don't know. You'll notice if you go back to the Netherlands afterwards that the Netherlands just looks more ornate.
It's just because there is more there. I mean, like the biggest part of Denmark is empty. There's hardly anybody here. Like most of all of the Danish live along the coast here and on the islands.
Right.
And another thing is Denmark is bigger than the Netherlands, and there is 5 million people.
There's not enough trees in Denmark, but I don't know how long ago that was. Although I know that they bought islands in order to grow more trees, but I think it's for their naval fleet. So that's okay. That's cool.
Is there perchance something like a population density overlay or something? That could be interesting.
For the Netherlands?
Well, even just for today, I mean, overall, I'm wondering if there's even such a map. Because just in
there
terms
are
of
maps on Wiki, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure if there's overlays for Google Earth. But from the top of my head, I can tell you that the Netherlands is the 10th or the 20th most densely populated country on Earth. And that is only preceded by a whole bunch of these city-states like Monaco, Vatican City, Andorra.
Well, at least what we could glean from it, that is the most, let's say, developed out, or where the land is being used, quote unquote, most effectively in terms of population density. But as you explained earlier, this is also because if they participated less in certain wars, then of course you have the time and energy to actually build out your surface or whatever you want to do.
The funny thing is, like, this whole area here is built out of the sea. And this was built during World War II with the cooperation of the Germans.
Like they had nothing else to do. That's curious.
Like they just kept the Dutch working, and you build a dike, and then you start building pump stations. Like this place was an island. This little city was an island.
Dude, show them the flood zone that they like reclaimed, the reclaimed city.
The reclaimed city?
Yeah, like there was a whole part that was underwater in the 60s, and now like it's been underwater, and then they reclaimed it. They like built a whole new province, basically.
Oh, that's this.
Oh, okay, yeah, great, yeah. So this was
underwater. Built. Yeah, this all of this was built in the 60s.
How many people can live there?
Millions.
Yeah. Millions of people could be moved to an island that was created.
But it's all farmland.
Right, which is actually, this is cool.
Let me see. There's 200,000 people here. Basically, this area. And then there's 100,000 here. So yeah, millions. If you fill the whole thing up with nothing but cities, millions. There's just about 1 million people in Amsterdam area. Let me see. Where do I have that? Yeah. So this, with everything within the green line, was a lake, and everything here within the blue line was a lake. All of this here is a lake.
In the 60s to recently, it was reclaimed, right? Like this is recently, right?
In the last couple of 100 years.
Okay, some of the stuff's in the last couple 100 years, and there was one province that was done in the 60s. Let me look it up. Like Netherlands reclaimed land from underwater. Yeah. The Markermeer Lake. Markervaden.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know where that is?
This is the...
There it is. Markervaden. Okay. So this is crazy to me because, I mean, this is
nature reserve.
This is all areas, though, that they're, were completely unusable, and now they've just reclaimed them. And it's interesting to see Netherlands doing this because it's changing the amount of Netherlands there is.
Oh yeah, that's very true. But that's again, all of this was water. This was sea too. Like everything within the blue line, right?
And
That was sea.
just to
This was an
compare it with
island.
something, I just looked up for Austria, and there they say that they actually, I'm not sure what is the proper word, desertified or whatever, 90% of the swamps, or however you would call them. And that's official figures. So just imagine, because also now recently I've been looking at these, World War II things or whatever, and also they talk about so many swamps in Russia or God knows where. So again, makes you wonder what happened, or is this a natural state that everything is swampy and people had to make a deliberate effort, as it seems within the last few hundred years, to even claim that surface area at all. And of course, once it's gone, it's out of sight, out of mind. But sometimes like, travel back 200 years and see almost everything's a swamp, maybe, I don't know, or whatever deluge happened, or God knows.
There's a documentary about that, how Austria is slowly working on restoring some of that swamp area.
Yes, I'm reading just now that they have 44 million for protection now of these swamps. Yeah, and even here again, the name in German, it's called Moor, which is like Moor or Moorish or something, which is also, to me,
Moors.
super suspicious. Yeah, Moors. Why all these Moors? Why you call it? Why do you use the same name, the same word? What's going on?
In English, they have a term. If something is very tasty, it's very Moorish, as in you want more of it. A nice fort in Linz. It's Austria too, right? Or is this already Germany? Linz.
Yeah, in Vienna, which is the one place I know, there's only one single piece of the wall left. There's like one photo of it online, but everything else is torn down. But you can still actually clearly see, if you zoom out a little bit, I think you can still kind of see.
This is the old outline.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the old outline. Maybe even bigger. Alter Vorstadt, Innere Stadt. So probably here.
Yeah, something like that should be Ringstraße. Yeah, just around the first district.
But then your walls would have
actually
been
there's two walls actually. If I remember correctly, what I learned in school right now. But there's the inner circle and the Linienwall. Even here, I always like to bring this up. This is the one time in education in Austria where you hear the word Wall for Mauer, which is like a wall, or like Wall Street, right? And this is the one time they deliberately tell you, oh, this is called Linienwall, so line wall, and this is a term you never hear again. And then, of course, many years later, you discover they use that special name, I don't know, to obfuscate what it really is or whatever. But yeah, Linienwall, yeah. And they tore it down officially in around 1870. The emperor started tearing it down and like reconstructing, supposedly new all these Ringstraßen buildings, so the buildings which were on that Wall Street, to use the same name as in New York. Yeah. In official history, which of course makes you wonder how many of those majestic buildings have already been there, and how many really were constructed during that time. It's difficult to say, because later anyone can just put on a date and a name. And of course, no construction photos as usual.
Wall Street.
Yes, that's a great example.
Actually where the wall was.
Yes, please explain it a bit so people realize really that this is a Fort Wall Street. And everyone knows the term Wall Street and no one knows what it's about. So that's also kind of a magic spell, if you ask me.
Let me see if we can get some open maps.
And why would they put the World Trade on the Wall Street? Why is that? That must have such a high symbolic importance. Otherwise, I wouldn't put it on Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? It's obvious there's something there, and it's in plain sight, hidden in plain sight.
I do apologize for the coughing, but too much of a hassle to go mute for one cough. New York. Now that particular map shows it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now I think I need to share differently. Present. One sec. Oh yeah, there he is again.
You know about Starbucks, don't you know? He spoke and he pointed and he never went wrong. The 13th monkey, he was perfect all along. Monkey
The
well, they tried
Manhattan
to
Island.
but they just couldn't pass the test. Then came 13 with a sparkle and a grin. He had that magic touch and the crowd let him in. Monkey number 5 tried to paint with colors so bright. But he spilled all the paint, what a colorful sight.
Tribeca Hospital.
Why does
If
the
there is-
hospital have its own star for it? And that star is a Melchizedek star. That's, you know, another thing I've been thinking about.
Don't you know the hospital was fortified, you know, so they could shoot with rifles even.
Oh, you gotta fortify your vitamins, fortify your hospital, yeah. Fortify your health. Well, but a pointed star.
What is
I
it?
want
Bit. I can't read this.
Fort
Sorry.
George, go closer. I think it's Fort George's.
No, it's more like the Bros or the Brock.
Fort Debros. Okay, it was Fort.
It's now
I
now
also would
Castle
have thought
Clinton.
George, but yeah, yeah, it's unreadable almost. It's on Broadway, or one Broadway. Is that the Broadway?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
Fort-
that is the
Fort-
Broadway.
Fort Washington. It's called now. Used to be. Let's see.
Hey, Tribeca.
Are you sure it's not Fort George? 'Cause I think it's Fort George Washington.
And this is Castle Clinton.
I think it's Fort George. I don't know. Fort.
Yeah, but this is a
No. Zoom in harder. Computer. Enhance. Debros, George. It's so hard to tell. Debros. I can see how you see it. Might say Debros, but I see Georgius. No. Debros.
see. This is that I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Funny, yeah, how the whole place is now full. The site of Central Park. They already knew.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna stuff this whole place full of buildings, and that's where we're gonna make a park. Another little fort.
Okay, but whatever this is, because I just saw the date 1776, we can only assume this map was created later, right?
Oh, it could be, yeah.
And then I'm just thinking, like, to what extent, or if there would be any advantage in changing a map, or, you know, maybe there were more buildings they didn't put in because they raised them from whoever else or whatever it could be. I'm just wondering about that right now. But there's a few things there. They already knew what a central park is gonna be. That's convenient, of course. But all the rest here is empty. Harlem is empty. Did I see that correctly, right?
Yeah. Harlem Heights. It used to be a barricade of old ships. Right? Sunken ships.
What? And then they build a bridge on top, or what is this? At the
And now
same
it's a
spot?
bridge.
Loose lips
What?
sink ships, bro.
What? What kind of? I'm sorry. What kind of logic is that? Like, honestly, I'm sorry.
don't
Just
know.
sometimes I have to check, if I'm completely out of anything or.
No,
it's just
you're
strange.
good. Maybe it was easier for them.
Just build it on top. Yeah, because they already had a foundation. Yeah, of course, they had a foundation already there. Let's build a bridge on top.
Let's go to that sunken bridge spot. I'll go. Hey, look, a square. Dude.
Just casual remains of fortifications. Just a little marker in the sand. Nobody knows, whatever the fuck. And if you see stuff like that, it's really easy to go and see. Is it this one? No. I need to look for this one. Biggest brick fort in the United States.
Nice.
But doesn't that very conveniently look like it could have been a walled city? Excuse me. Cough.
So the other one you showed is officially recognized as such?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course, that'd be
This one.
convenient to put the biggest one there, and right next to it, there's a much bigger one. Potentially.
Much bigger city.
Mhm.
But there's no walled cities in America, or so they say,
Mhm.
other than in Canada with is it Quebec? That's still, yeah, Quebec. That's the one they'll support you for. Like that has the big and a citadel.
Now they put a parking lot in the middle. Did I see that correctly? Yeah.
You did indeed. But there's plenty more old walled cities, and they just fade. Just don't get mentioned, whatever. Where's that one? Let me see. Lewisburg. That was a whole city.
With what you know, I mean, you're also, I guess, like me in a sense, not American, or maybe Andreas, if he's listening. What do you think in terms of official timeline, 1776 or whatever? Would it be feasible, even if you have very efficient brick producers, that they would have produced and built all of those, let's say, only within, they could only have had 150 years. Otherwise, we would have, film documentation of
these
them.
things were built definitely before the British got there. Like these things were built by the Dutch, right? And they're built in Fort New Amsterdam was founded, right? It's supposed to be 1625. So I would say that almost infers by 1625 they have a star fort. They haven't found it that was already there, you
But
know.
also, yeah, 1602 is the foundation of the East India Company.
Right. Yeah. So I would wonder a lot about that. Even, you know, the idea that they founded something doesn't mean to me that they erected, that they discovered where there were already star forts. I mean, we've
Right.
done so many episodes on this subject. The idea of like the Algonquins actually having to do with Bermuda star forts, Haiti star forts, and the northeast coast. Right? Imagine like black Algonquins along the northeast coast that were building megaliths. This is something that I guess still people. I mean, there's a Eurocentric level to history. They don't want to accept this idea, but it's high. It's there's a lot of evidence.
Can we check Harrisburg? Because I actually stayed there for a night. I'm curious if that can be a star fort as well. Oh, wait, it's Philadelphia.
Don't check just because he
Philadelphia.
was so chill about it. No, yeah, definitely check.
Let me show you because I have.
I want to hear. I want
of
to hear
Philly.
Raph be aggressive. Be like, take us there. You know,
Take us there.
Engage.
engage. I'll take that.
Let me see if I can find the right one. There you go.
What is this? What are all these small squares supposed to be? Like ferrets? or
Forts.
something? But the small,
Square-
the square one, this, but it looks
Heaps
like
and heaps.
where the map is. No, what I mean. Sorry, where the flag is. All these small rectangles.
Oh,
what are those
buildings.
supposed to be? Okay. Uh-huh.
I thought you meant these little square things.
Mhm.
So
Because
they're
I'm
forts.
wondering what kind of buildings those would have been. Hmm.
Philly.
Harrisburg in Philadelphia, I believe. Is that in Philadelphia? No, it's in Pennsylvania. Harrisburg is in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I was wondering. I mean, it has the name Berg in it, so only from that point of view, there should be a Bourges somewhere, right? Oh, what? Look, I'm like, oh, a Masonic compass. No,
I
don't worry, guys. It's only a basketball stadium. There's no
I would not at all be
relationship whatsoever.
surprised if this had a fort. You know, you call it City Island.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Ile de
Um,
Paris, it makes me think of Ile de Paris, you know, of Paris Island.
yeah. Lutetia. That's the old name of Paris.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, Harrisburg could well have been, but in America, I'm pretty careful with marking anything down if I don't have confirmation on a map. And there's not a whole lot of maps available from America, considering like I have about 200 old maps from America and way more than 200 forts. So if the town has some history, like America is pretty good with leaving historical markers for all of their old stuff.
We try.
So if there is a marker that says there was a fort, I'll give it a marker. If the town is called Fort, I'll give it a black mark because I don't know if it had a fort, but it was called Fort for sure. But this ties down to the color stuff. Red just means that it sits somewhere on an old map I have, and there is nothing to be seen. And the same goes for light blue. Black is just a town called Fort or something that looks like it could have been a fort. I don't really know. Green is something visible. Orange is something visible. So is yellow and dark blue. But as you can see, there's not a lot of that in North America. These two. Oh, that's not one. Ah, this is. Let me see if we can get. Yeah, there you go. A bit more detail. If you look at like the pattern on the ground, you can also see like they use that same sort of similar square setup that you also see on the Philadelphia map here.
Yeah. But would these just even officially this would just be houses or
Probably. They have a city square of sorts.
right? Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, but yeah, I mean if you really have a reason to huddle together in the city, I guess that's how it would look like.
This is not a fort. I can show it. This is the nuclear mile.
The discoloration is like Google Map censorship or what?
I don't really have an answer for that, but Google likes to play with colors a lot.
Yeah, you've got like multiple years looking at the same place, and it seems to maybe be like the kind of camera they're using, different kind of chip. That's all I could guess.
They accidentally put on the radiation residue filter or something.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Real or imagined?
There must have been something more here. There you go. Buildings here.
Egészségedre. Bless you. Yeah, it seems like in America they're few and far between, or they've just been so thoroughly removed. Because some of those, I mean, that's if we assume that there have been similar types of walls and so on, all right, what does it take to build them? A lot.
Yeah.
What does it take to tear them down? Just like energy, however we want to think of it. But how much energy does it take to put it away? I mean, you need some force for that, of whatever type it could be, to only leave a mark in the ground.
Man, you're gonna give me tuberculosis. I'll be doing that.
I'll get over it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I got a new one. Hold
on. Oh, tough. Now you make me lose my train of thought where I want to go with this.
Oh, well then don't do that.
Russian expansion drift. Like that's maybe an interesting thing to address. If you look at the density of star forts and you look at where the Tatar Empire,
it's like
whatever it may have been and whatever it may have contained,
it's where all that mud's rubbed away. Everything
is all here, right? I mean, this whole section of Earth you can just discard because it wasn't mapped, so there was nothing there, quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
Like this whole section of Siberia all of a sudden appears on maps. Like they knew how to map the coastlines of Alaska, but they had no idea that the whole Kamchatka Peninsula was a thing. It just didn't exist. So
Very
when you
strange.
see old maps that show you the Mongolian capital being in the far, far north, that's just as far as they mapped north. They didn't pass anything like regarding the large Mongolian column Tatar, column whatever cities. It took, like, according to the book, it took Marco Polo 40 days to travel from the Black City, which is here, another square, to the old Mongolian capital here. Is that there? No, a bit more south. There, Kakurim. And if you look at all of these old maps that show you Karkurim, it's somewhere in the utmost north of the map. Well, you can see that it was far from the northernmost Mongolian city.
So this means whoever made that map didn't want anybody to know, they didn't know themselves, or the land appeared later.
Either one of three.
Mhm.
Why not all of them?
It
That
appeared
land
out
is
of nothing, poof,
land
and
is
then it was there.
And it's scary, and you don't want people to go there, and it's forbidden, and you don't.
It makes me think of some of these maps where you can see the dragons and so on, or whatever, Cyclops.
I do that too when I'm bored. I find things on Earth like faces and lines and things, and I draw them out. There's a couple of dragons here and there.
Definitely show those. I'm sure people will love it.
I need to switch off.
Oh, nice. And what is this interesting like shape there? Why does it seem like there is an elevation drop, or is it just like map? No, more on the top a little bit. When more consistent is here, here. All of this, and also on the right. What is this? Why does this look so
Ring
bad?
of Fire?
Or is this like the actual map and the rest is just like patched on? It's kind of what it looks like, but okay. Or there's like a 10-meter elevation in water.
I could show you about that too. You're familiar with the prime meridian, right? The GMT.
Yes,
the prime meridian line. The other side of the world, sorry, is the anti-meridian. And that's where Google stitches Earth together. It's here. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Discoloration.
Mm-hmm.
This spans pretty much all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole. And you can look it up. Excuse me. Hey, there you go. There it is. You just follow it along. And this is where they stitch Google Earth together.
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Google is a whole
fault line.
Earth is a whole collection of square images taken by satellites and planes, if satellites are a thing. Planes, for damn sure. And all of the fancy coloring you see here is just some artist coloring it in for you.
Mm-hmm. So it's not actually a depth map, or only partially, maybe. Like in the middle, there seems to be like the snake in the middle, but between the continents in the very.
I was going to show some of my silly drawings, right? Okay. So France is a bit of a star if you have a imagination.
Uh-huh. I can see it.
Uh,
Also wouldn't surprise me why
Denmark
France
is a
so
dude
special.
with a hat on, a weird little hat. I don't know what, but
Frisian cap. I don't know. Or fez.
the Carpathian Mountains are a dragon in conflict with another dragon. And there's a dragon in the Sahara. Anybody who watches, what's his face? Mud Fossil University? Is it him? This is Roger's dragon, and this is Roger's fish, and they swim on his globe Earth. Mm-hmm. I'm just being sarcastic here. That's dragon.
That's dragon. That's dragon right there.
And that's jellyfish.
Oh,
That's another dragon. Let me see if we can get some other things out of this. Oh yeah, Africa on its side is a doggy begging for a cookie, like a big Saint Bernard puppy. He's not getting the puppy though because he shat Madagascar all over the floor.
of course.
I just see that this is when you get like when you smoke a joint too many and you just get bored. You just start putting lines down.
I mean, making patterns is a great. I mean, like even again, not knowing what the patterns are in making patterns is probably better.
Maybe he's watching this. This is my friend Brett. Hi, Brett. Hey, little face. In Canada. You get creative. Anyways, drawings. And I have a whole file of mapped volcanoes. That's what you asked for. Like, what is that? That whole cliff thingy.
Oh
Well,
wow.
that's the ring of fire.
That's like really the ring of fire, and this is like surrounding us, or what? Do we have anything mapped below that? How far is Antarctica? Or it's like the middle line. Mm-hmm.
But this is also like a work in progress.
But can all of these volcanoes, are they literally like more or less in a circle arrangement, these volcanoes, and at least on a certain projection, or?
No, because you've got like the Azores is a whole bunch of volcanoes. You got Italy being volcanically very active.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This part of Africa is tearing itself off, according to science. If you follow the fault line type stuff, you can see that a whole section of Africa might just split from the main continent, if you believe such things.
If we don't behave ourselves, Africa might just pack its bags and leave.
This one cost the years without summer.
Why is this name so popular? Is there like a festival named like this or something? Krakatoa? I heard this before.
Krakatoa is definitely a volcano. I don't know about the festival.
Or was it in the
Krakatoa is-
news a lot or something like this, maybe?
Krakatoa is like the major volcano that the Dutch East Indies Company is the only ones to record. I have videos about dudes living in a lighthouse as a witness after like the tsunami that destroyed Indonesia and killed hundreds of thousands of people. And the sound waves supposedly bounced around the world 6 times. So
That
if
was
you're
this
in-
one.
Yeah, you're supposedly
That
in
was
England.
that was Tambora. That's why I made a special mark of it. That one went 6 times.
Apparently all around the world people were able
Yeah.
to like, what was that noise, like it's cray.
But yeah, there's a few volcanoes here and there. Map those out. I have an army stuff, and this is mainly to take a dump on everybody who thinks that the West has any chance fighting Russia. They have none, if you believe so. Nothing will happen. They will keep this silly fucking war going for as long as they possibly can, because it's a good excuse to make new stuff. And more stuff is good for the economy.
Right. Misa proposed that we give Senate immediate emergency powers to the Chancellor, Supreme Chancellor.
Nice quote. I like that one. But then episode 1 is a lot of fun.
It's true. I do love that one.
You ever heard that one, Raph?
What?
Oh, if you
Yeah.
haven't, he should send it to you.
You haven't heard the Star Wars Episode 1 song?
No, I just know Star Wars Episode 1, I believe.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if this is the wrong moment for it. I'm sorry. We'll have to do it at some point. I don't know
Oh
if this
yeah,
is the time.
you definitely have to get back to him on that one.
Don't give. I have ADD, Mike. Why did you do
Recent
that?
Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Because I'm a monkey and I like to fuck with people's
Yeah,
heads.
so I wrote this song and just wanted to share it with the world. Some people like Star Wars, some others think it's just okay, but most prefer the originals. Most people think the prequels are lame. But I like watching episode 1. Episode 1, it's a lot of fun. Friendship and magic for everyone. Episode 1 is great. And if you could use a drink, try a Qui-Gon gin. If you like to pod race, baby, take a spin. If you've only seen the world, try the Outer Rim. Double-bladed lightsabers is what you're missing. So I like watching episode 1. Episode 1, it's a lot of fun. Qui-Gon Jinn loves Obi-Wan, and I just think that's great. And I still like Jar Jar Binks, even if you think he stinks. I just get the way he thinks. Misa getting down tonight. And that little Annie Boo, I think he's cool. He's better than that kid from 2 and 3. Hayden Christensen, you didn't need all the whining. You could have had some fun. You could have been like episode 1. So I like watching episode 1. Episode 1, it's a lot of fun. Friendship and magic for everyone. Episode 1 is great. And that's how I feel.
So there you have
Amazing.
it.
You know what? I feel like that song is even more pressing today than it was before.
Well, it can only get
You
more
know what?
relevant the way Disney is botching it or has been.
Seriously.
like after everything Disney has done to completely beep 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 beep.
Bro,
beeps all that.
I have dreams. I think it's not the formula, it's the execution. Disney's just not going hard enough. If Lizzo and Wanda Sykes can be in Star Wars, then Wanda Sykes can be R2D2 and Lizzo can be one of the Hutties. Like, there's no reason they can't go all the way.
I cannot help but hear the Lizzo song from South Park every single time she's mentioned.
Can't you just see Jabba the Hutt talking like, why is Han Solo cray till he gotta be gray? You know? You know, because like Jabba the Hutt is like a sexually fulfilled goddess. All right. I'm good.
I mean, we could open a discussion on
I think
Star
we could
Wars,
segue right.
People that do that so
we
much.
We can segue right back from Star Wars to Star Forts because the statue of Willendorf and Jabba the Hutt.
To Star Wars, yeah,
it works. It works just fine. Here you go. Oh, all right.
Okay, so this one is pretty well known, I guess, by now. Like the Star Fort in the middle of nowhere. Many years ago, Martin Liedtke was all convinced that this Star Fort was covered by mud flood. Sorry. Unfortunately, Google comes with an altimeter, which means it shows you how high something is from sea level. So this Star Fort sits at 160 meters above sea level. And then you go over the supposed mud covering, and all of a sudden it starts dropping. Look, it's 70 meters, 60 meters, 50 meters, 30 meters.
It's crazy.
You can see the altimeter on full screen, right? 26,
Are there volcanoes nearby? Is there a reason why it would be just so crazy?
This is an old coastline.
Okay, interesting. That's a lot of coastline.
Yeah, but over the ages,
every time you guys
area has changed like a lot.
Every time you think Mike is coughing, he's actually just speaking Dutch.
Yeah, that's a good assumption.
It's just hard to pronounce. That's a lot. I mean, that's crazy. So is this supposed to be, how do you know how recently, because we know about feedback loops, we talk about the Aral Sea. Do you think that this is a long time ago, or is this kind of a recent drying out of that coastline?
It took them what, 40 years to completely kill the Aral Sea?
Seriously crazy, right? So like the idea that this people love to pretend this took millions of years, but yeah.
This is 1973.
Yeah, things change fast. People
don't
want to handle
that show for the there you go. That's 1973, and it doesn't show the whole extent of it because it went up north here all the way to Aral, because that was a harbor town. And show you that in other pictures. There you go. Like it's so well worth looking into this particular area if you're interested in what happened to the roaming tribes of Tartary, because this is all of this. Like, you just cut away Siberia. There was people there. I'm not denying that. There's people there now, but that's not Tatars. Tatars lived in everything that has become desert. And it wasn't desert. It was steppes. I like that. Some folk ain't city folk. I think none of us are city folk, Melissa. None of us are. We're not meant to live stacked together in ginormous blocks.
Haven't you met
minimal housing?
Haven't you met city folk though? I've totally met city folk. I don't know. I've definitely met some people that have evolved to be city folk.
Yeah, but I said meant to.
Okay.
I don't think we're meant to live in cities. I don't think we're meant to live in miniature boxes.
I think that's true about at least
Especially,
all my friends. We seem to be meant to be hunter-gatherers or something.
Hunter-gatherers might be a step further back, but there's also, like, if you look at, like, the current day capital of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar.
If you're a hunter-gatherer in a non-scarcity based system, it's probably pretty chill.
And just for shits and giggles, let's go to the outskirts. What do you see?
Cute little suburban towns.
Look at the all of these circles. Are yurts. Yep. This whole city can literally pack its bags and go and fuck off, because that might not be anything to get from this place anymore. It's everywhere. Everywhere in the outskirts. People they still live in their yurts.
That's a lot of yurts.
Everywhere. Because, you know, this country is subject to weather changes galore. And all of a sudden, one year, it might just turn out that the whole location becomes unfertile because of massive rains or droughts or whatever. Then you move the capital. And that's what they have been doing for knows how long.
Forever, since before we were domesticated, when we were still nomadic. Exactly. Forever.
I think cities were a thing. I think you moved to a city like we discussed many years ago. The
don't call me old. How dare you?
So there.
No, you're 100% right, though. This is the thing. Like, I think a lot of our early hypotheses, we've been able to show a lot of evidence for this idea that there are trading zones. Those trading zones are what became modern cities. The idea of living in a city forever was not natural. Clearly, they were trying to trade from one city to another, and then there's castes that emerge that say, well, we'll just be the family members that constantly do business out of that city. Then there's nepotism, and there's, you know, meritocracy, and it evolves from there. I do think, though, cities are, you know, I would say they've become naturalized, and they're diabolical at the same time. The idea that people have learned to, and it's such a different lifestyle, right? Because the idea of living in a city and property and the way it works, as opposed to being in a, you know, again, I'd like to call it hunter-gatherer, but maybe a better word is just capitalist. When you're living in a non-scarcity, abundant frontier, then all of a sudden you're capitalizing on ubiquitous resources, which is the opposite of a city where there's no commons. That's probably the biggest difference. There's no shared commons. Like the original cities that we're looking at here, all these starports are showing us there's a shared commons. They're built around a river. They're built around water. There's a shared commons, right? All the boats can share the same channels. All the trade can be done along the same channel networks. There's a shared commons.
Well, there would be shared commons in modern cities too if it wasn't all regulated and privatized, no?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, Raf.
I'm just saying. It's usually owned by some party or something, but or the church.
Right, yeah. Or worse, like in Santa Cruz, we have like a business association. And if you're not part of the Rotary Club, you know, you're not part of the business association. You got to be part of the Rotary Club. They have good chicken meals on Fridays.
I'm sure.
And ice cream. And a little bar at the Elks Lodge with a pool.
Sounds to me like some low-level MLM scam. The way you're talking about it.
I didn't invite you to join.
Oh, right, that's the difference. Thank you. Special region? Okay, well, this special district.
But this is where the Netherlands grew their cocaine.
Maybe that's why it's called special region. Is it special region Yogyakarta? I mean, this is probably just a modern naming of the districts for some reason.
That's the old city, the red.
Can you zoom in a bit more into that square?
And that's where the
Okay.
citadel's set. Ah,
Boom. I almost didn't notice that one. Is that literally just two trees in a giant concrete parking lot? 'Cause what the heck?
I think it's water. But let's see. No, it's a giant concrete lot.
Dang. They wiped out the whole block. Why? Why wipe out everything? Was there gold? Like, tell me more. Was it a liquid mercury pool? Tell me more. Why would you erase it all?
Tell me more. The two pillars. That's a good one.
Right, I just want to bring this up. You guys know more about this because it reminded me again of Central Park, and because you showed that they already had zoned it, and there is this story of Seneca Village. I forgot again what happened there. Maybe Andreas, you know about it?
I'm sorry, I'm still singing Danny Zuko because I played in Greece and like I can't. It turned colder. That's where it ends. I'm sorry, I really can't. I'll be back in a minute.
It's okay. So
He's
before
really
Central
bad with
Park
that.
was created, there was
Mike did it
Seneca
on
Village.
purpose.
Okay, by 1855, village consisted of 225 residents. All right, that would be
Where was this?
later. 1855, Central Park. It was Seneca Village, which consisted of approximately 225 residents. Okay, but that would be a low number anyways. I thought it was something bigger or earlier.
Well, she got friendly down in the sand. Why are you doing this to me, man? Don't sing songs. You know, like that
You're doing
Cartman
it to
thing where he's
yourself.
like, "I'm sailing away," like, and he has to sing the whole song. I didn't mean that. Wasn't setting up a course for the birds. Stop it. I have too much ADHD. More than I knew.
Okay, now this is interesting just because we looked at the map earlier, and this is from centralparknyc.org where I'm reading this, because here it says only is what I'm saying, but during the early 1850s, the city began planning for a large municipal park, and in 1853, again, these 1850 dates, New York State Legislature enacted a law that set aside 775 acres of land in Manhattan from 59th to 106th Street between 5th and 8th Avenue.
There's
So
a
I'm just wondering-
666 acre joke though about the
Oh,
Central
really?
Park. Yeah, I forget the whole thing, but Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, who were not designers or engineers or architects,
Michelle
but they
Gibson
were-
did a show on this Olmsted guy, I think.
Yeah, but they were Freemasons. Obviously, cut to the quick. Like Frederick Olmsted was a Freemason, so was Calvert Vaux, and they were put in charge of building a grove, right? And so you can think of Central Park similarly to Golden Gate Grove. The groves are man-made, and this is all on top of land, by the way, that was settled. There's huge colonies. They call them the I forget the name actually. I was going to say Hoover Towns, but that's in the 20s. But in the 1800s and the 1700s, it's Irish, French, Dutch, Germans, African Americans. Everybody is living in Central Park in these bungalows, and they're pretty intricate. They're far more intricate than people realize. I don't understand enough to say that they're like yurts, but I believe that would be a fair equating. That you could say that a lot of these were kind of nomadic, shantytown like structures that were built up, and they were interdiverse. It had nothing to do with what race you were. And so this is really antithetical to modern New York, because modern New York was designed, especially in the early 20th century, late 19th century. Banks started moving you and giving you loans based on your ethnicity to particular boroughs. So the racial segregation of New York happened after Central Park, right? And before that, Central Park was it was a town. It was a town with tons of people living in that area, right? And they were just all forced out.
Right. So I'm just wondering, because of the zoning and the dating, 13th Monkey, by chance, do you have this map, or which we looked at earlier? You'd have to look at it now, but I'd just be curious again to check when it was officially made, just to correlate if even here the story fits. So when was this map? Oh, great, you have it. I mean, here they say in 1776. Okay, so then it's obviously just a backdated map. And when was
Right.
it supposed to have been made is not sure. Okay.
It's right after World War II. Sorry, World War II. It's right after Civil War. It's right after it's mid Civil War,
Okay.
1859 to 1863.
All right. Okay. Yeah, then
1863, I think, is when I think I have a picture.
Yeah.
Well, give me a second, and I'll look for something.
Thank you. Yeah, Crypto Alchemist is asking about the giant stone block pyramid mountains. I never heard about.
Real quick, here's
Sure you
Central
know what.
Park
Yes.
in
Oh, great.
1863, and you can see like the way, here's the design plan. So there's a waterfront here that's kind of a reservoir, and then it's supposed to allow for a fountain because it's at an incline, right? So that the water will come down, allowing for this fountain to constantly run. And then there's going to be a arboretum walkway with groved gardens, and then walkways around that for so that way you can have.
Again, what's curious, because it's exactly the same story in Vienna, that they basically say, oh, the old emperor came and from 1850 or whatever started building up the ring street and everything, but also started the, how do you call it, parkification of the city, and that this is such a big and important thing to do.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just wondering why everyone had the same idea around that time to
Well, I think a
making
big
like
reason,
city parks, maybe to make it more attractive.
There's a couple reasons. There's a lot of reasons. I'm sure there's energy, and there's like the idea that like this is healthy, but you've got the town over here, right? And so you got most of your dense traffic over here, and then anyone elite has properties almost as large as the towns themselves. And so those homes, they want privacy. So they'll build these what they're called roundabouts, and so these cul-de-sacs, and so these roads, they go these weird places where you hide the house behind roads and trees and little areas there. So they have they're hidden. That's that's the kind of the goal. And once you start tearing out land, then all of a sudden they feel like more exhibited or observed. They don't like that. So the idea of having something that draws the commons out and gives them the illusion of being in the roundabouts, that was something that was suggested as well. Give them their own common experience that is equatable with living in your own personal property, right?
Nice. Yeah, so the whole city gets one park, the same size of one rich family's garden.
In Britain, this garden though is actually rather like, compare this to in North New York or upstate New York.
It's a great one. It's a very big park. It's nice. I'm not.
It is absolutely. It is absolutely large. It is absolutely large at that time compared to the rest of the city. Now today, looking at Central Park, it seems small, but it's still accessible. I would argue that Central Park is really. I mean, imagine you have thousands and thousands of people, tens of thousands of people living in a building right next to the park, and yet the park is still accessible and people still have equal opportunity to experience that. It's hard. It's hard because I hear you, like it's not perfect, but it's still far more impressive.
Out the distribution inequality, but of course, you even need it, because especially if the city starts sprawling bigger, who could even survive in such a place? I think similar with Vienna, like I said,
this is absolutely a grow out of what exactly like this grows out of European
to make Babylon somewhat palatable, which works kind of.
It's not just to make Babylon palatable. See, it's like a social monarchy. It's inspired by grosser mercantilism to have a more educated and more civilized populace. So if you own the populace, you want them to be the best they can be, right? And so you want your populace to be able to have access. So this is like a trough that you're feeding all of your horses out of. I hear you there.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, look at what existed before this. Look at other cities that don't have this. This is a major advancement for the idea of the city, for the idea of an urban,
Oh, for sure.
an urban jungle. And the urban jungle is not perfect, but the idea of the urban jungle is technogaianism. It's the idea of
Oh
building
yeah. No.
to
Hey, I'm living in a city myself. So.
Well, I mean, in the future, a city doesn't have to be horrible. Like a city could be part of nature.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think this
100%.
is. I would say that this is like the least evil conspiracy, like to offer people a garden.
Oh yes, of course. I completely agree with you. Just at the same time, it's also kind of obvious because even like you point out, I don't want to snoop you around in my private garden. So just have this slab of land and leave
Well,
me in peace.
and you have to understand, like simultaneously to this, you have Saint-Just in the French Revolution, and so in France to this day, every year, every common person in France can go into any common garden because those gardens are there's a social revolution that took place before Napoleon that allows for these people to visit any private property, any lord's giant manor, any chateau that has a garden. They're all open for the public to walk around and observe for like 2 weeks a year or something like that. And so you have to wonder, like, is that safe? Do you really want to have, like, I was at a friend's wedding in France, and it was very weird that there were just random people that were like showing up, like hiking, you know what I mean? Like, it's probably fine, but it's like Europe doesn't have borders or anything like that. You don't know exactly who someone is. If someone wanted to like come kill you or something like that, you have like no private property for 2 weeks a year. So that might be a system that works in France, but I think the idea of just having like tons of places for people to be that are like Central Park is pretty sweet. I don't know. I don't hate it. Have you ever been to Central Park? It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm just saying they give you one of those, whereas 99% of the surface area should be like that. That's just what I'm
okay,
saying.
all right. Like then, just really quickly, like New York City. Let me just show you, just because you said that, like map, or actually, better yet, here, New York State.
I'm not talking about the practicality of New York
No, I
City.
mean,
I'm just
but-
saying
but look,
overall
this
how
is-
much commons there should be, right?
But
And how much there actually is.
Okay, but like
That's all I'm saying.
this is New York State, right? Okay, like how much of New York State is just nothing is crazy. There's just so you can go by towns, let alone if you want to buy a church or a mall or something like that. But you can buy like just acreage. Like upstate New York is just empty, right? So there's just so much. There's miles and miles of nothing but miles and miles. And how big is New York? New York City size is 778 kilometers square. So it's this tiny little thing compared to like size New York State size. Yeah, it's like it's definitely like considerably small. The idea of density of population in New York City is really interesting because it does alleviate stress on the rest of the New York environment. The north and state is not getting all of that pollution, all the craziness. Like when you go to New York City, you're like, oh man, there's like brake dust on all the concrete, but that means it's not in all the trees in the north. So I don't know. It's like the idea of density of human population is better for the environment. Hey, look, a pyramid. Sorry.
Good point. Please.
Yeah,
Mike.
Bernie asked for pyramids, so there you go.
You're gonna get us in trouble. You're showing the Chinese pyramids. Aren't they supposed to be hiding those?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean,
Oh, busted. Wait, look at that. That's amazing.
they just plant them full of
Yeah,
trees and
they're trying
bushes
to destroy
and-
them. They want to be ripped apart and gone. It's crazy.
But this, I mean, here it's obvious that this is like completely organized, structured planting there. So this is nothing organic. So do you really think they like put them so the roots kind of break up the stone or something? That would be a more efficient way actually to do it.
The
terms of human
official
labor.
statement of the Chinese government is like, we're leaving these for future generations.
I'm sure they are.
Sure.
Whatever
yeah.
that means.
Whereas they're
Whatever the fuck, yeah,
like,
whatever that means. but,
somebody might have built these, but
you
it
know.
definitely wasn't the Han Chinese, and so we don't care, basically.
Yeah, but it's one thing to not care, and it's another thing to
you
systematically
cannot come and mess with my
put the
history.
trees there.
Yeah, you don't want anyone to find out that it wasn't the Han Chinese that ran China. Yeah, it would bum them out.
No, I'm just saying because here it's even obvious the way it's planted in some of them that this is like rows and rows with equal spacing. So, yeah, why? To have the roots break up the stone? Again, I'm asking the same question.
You can see
could be.
there's also pyramids. They're not even marked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Possibly.
So Bernie says there's more pyramids. There's some giant block 9s in China recently trending on.
Yeah, those are fake.
Oh,
I don't trust TikTok, but I don't know. I mean, the idea that China is promoting.
Well, yeah,
I
again-
look, no, it's like it's a pretty rapid fire answer, but like I looked into it for a good long while, and they're fake.
The idea that China is promoting Americans thinking there are pyramids on TikTok is really interesting to me.
but did we solve now? Is TikTok now really Chinese or actually American company? Because I heard some debates on that, like who is actually owning the thing or controlling the stake and so on. I'm not sure if that's exactly
TikTok
as
is owned
presented.
by ByteDance.
Right.
ByteDance is
I
a
forgot-
Chinese company.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but I forgot the exact combination or in terms of like who is actually leading the policy for America. But
20% by co-founders, 20% by its employees, 60% by ByteDance. Owned by global investors. So there are some global investors involved. Okay, that's just like a bunch of nonsense though, because the way Chinese corporate policy works is that the government owns at least 51% or 60% of the company, right? So ByteDance is controlled, and 60% of the company is controlled by the China. So one way or another, the Chinese government control it, and then also anything built in China, they have to be like if there's servers in China, then those server companies that they're working through, those are owned by the Chinese government and have to be licensed. And licensed means the ability to do what you'd otherwise not be allowed to do. So there are certain caveats with being licensed in China. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not a level of free enterprise to it, if that's the curiosity, or that there isn't participatory investment from international sources like the Saudis and probably the CIA and BlackRock, pardon me. But yeah, it's still like all of that data is accessible by the Chinese government, the same way that all of the data in the United States is accessible by the American government. Like, what do you expect? I figured the best thing to do is use TikTok if you live in the U.S. or Yandex, and like if you live in Russia, use TikTok, and if you live in China, use like
Probably
Twitter,
the way to
right?
go.
Like just use the system in the other country.
it's farthest away, yeah, exactly.
Use the system in the
Takes
country
the
that
longest
doesn't
for the spooks to get through.
that don't really use the system in the country that the spooks don't work with the country that you're from, spooks, right? Like, just, is that crazy? What are we looking at now, Mike? What are we looking at now?
China. Still.
Yeah, but are these are you
This is all sections of wall, and
is this where they were saying they thought like fake stuff was at, or no? In the North Desert.
fake stuff.
I don't know. You're earlier you were saying some of those pyramids were fake, and I thought maybe it was in the
Oh,
or something.
yeah. The TikTok stuff, that's fake. I looked into those, but I haven't marked anything down. Or I'm not marking fake stuff unless it's in my drawing.
Yeah.
So Crypto says there's drone footage of it. We just have to look that up, I guess. Or maybe you can post a link. Well, I guess just so
Is
it
there
happens.
anybody else that wants to see something specifically?
Yeah, let's see. So let's do a roll call. Anyone who has questions, ask them now. We'll go through them, and then we'll let Mike go, and Andreas prepare for another show. So if anyone wants to know anything, type it in right now, please.
Well, they brought the first monkey in, and hell, what a sight. He juggled a banana, but he just couldn't get it right. Second monkey was a jumper, bouncing high and low, but he missed the final leap.
Oh, it's a Starford snowflake. Wow.
But the 13th monkey, he stole the show. You know about Starfords, don't you know? He spoke and he pointed and he never went wrong. The 13th monkey, he was perfect all along. Number 3 monkey, what a charmer with a little bow tie. But he tripped on his shoes, oh how he did cry.
No questions.
Monkey number 4 played the
Any Egyptian star forts? Are there
Greece.
pyramids in Australia? We want some Australian history.
Yeah, sorry. There is some forts in Straya, but I haven't found a star fort in Straya.
Yeah, it
Alright,
seems like
so
Australia's where
let's
the building one is,
let's go off of this. What was the first one? Egypt.
Egypt.
That is a big old citadel.
Oh wow. Man.
And it is accompanied by a little 4-pointer.
Are the worldwide star forts connected by any ley lines?
Ley lines don't work on globe Earth.
If cancer is caused by damaged DNA, how could any sample ever be taken without causing damage? Answer them, Mike. Answer them. Just kidding.
I was trying to think of an answer, but I was like, I'm not sure.
You want
I
me
don't know,
to
man.
do now?
The point is inject Pepsi, but that's not medical advice.
I don't drink Pepsi. That's just evil.
Yeah, right. That was the point, though. It's brought to you by evil.
Oh, and maybe one last thing we could look at, just because we have the Google Earth here, and we've both, at least Andreas and I have been there, is the Bosnian pyramids. If there's anything, or anything you would discern from looking at it from top, because also there people are complaining sometimes. Is it real? Is it not? But only after we finished whatever you wanted to show here.
Yeah. It's a good answer. Good idea.
This is just by the request of people. So this is Bald City.
So here we're in Egypt, yeah?
Yeah, this is still in Egypt. Alexandria had a whole bunch of star forts.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like anywhere you
Most
see like,
of which are gone.
that much greenery around a desert feels like you're going to see a lot of star forts if they're connected ideas. It's like beavers and water, man.
Gun points.
So you think those are later, though? Those are like Alexandrian?
I have an old map that shows them as being star forts here in the case of the red forts.
Rad.
But that's like, yeah. You can still sort of see the shape.
Yeah, totally. But there's just
It's
so
all
much
mouse.
going on there for so long. There's a lot of density. It's amazing that that still made it.
They left some of it.
Tearing down walls to build buildings, becoming roads. Bless you. I mean, Donkey Well.
Greece.
I like your way of thinking, Adam.
If rabies means to rage, what I missed it. I'm sorry. If rabies means rage, wouldn't the cure to rabies simply be to
Courage.
courage? Yes. That's fair. Don't make me cry. Again with the ADHD. Now I'm thinking about Old
With the-
Yeller.
Courage the dog.
Yeah, see how quick
Courage
that
the
was?
cowardly dog.
It led right to Old Yeller, though, because rabies and courage, like, it was really fast. And now I'm there. Go on, Old Yeller. Get out of here. Have you seen that movie, Mike? Have you, Raph? Is that like too American for you guys? You've never
No,
seen
I
Old
don't
Yeller?
think I have.
You've never seen Old Yeller.
No.
Come on. Come on, man.
Are we still in Greece?
This is Greece.
Maybe you want to look at Corfu, because I think a friend of mine is there right now. Actually, we had him on, George. He's been showing us some old monuments or strange bricks.
All right, but you better watch Old Yeller.
All right.
Bang.
Here we are. So, and I mean, as the other question, how far can you go or research anything before you stumble across star forts? Not very far, it seems.
No. There's always some fortification, a walled city, or a tower you run into. Like at some point, like I just enjoy doing this mapping stuff. Like you've seen, like I got a whole bunch of folders with all kinds of stuff that isn't even related to forts. I've got a whole map with just racetracks, drag strips, racetracks, ovals, all kinds of stuff. It's just marking it down. You know, I watch a YouTube video about something, and this guy mentions a racetrack, and I racetrack. Do I have that marked down? Look it up, Google it. Blah, 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 blah. Not a mark.
And it's also, I mean, kind of, I'm not sure of the proper word, strange that it would be, and I mean, we're very thankful for it, but that it's you doing these maps. And I mean, why is it not supplied by the governments and whatever, like all kinds of mappings of all sorts? Like, where's the geography department or something? They're all asleep, it seems, no?
Yeah. Well, what can they do, right? Everything has been mapped out. Blah 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 blah.
I see.
Everything has been mapped out. It's all been done. We've been everywhere, which is another load of wank. And just these little things like towers, I started noticing them too, and they made me think of Lord of the Rings. But they lit the beacons in Minas Tirith.
Mm-hmm.
And how convenient a means that is of communicating with far distances. A tower, you light a fire, enemy comes. And maybe not even the enemy, something is coming. Keep an open mind.
All right, yeah. So I think let's go to the last request for now, and let's check out
That
Bosnian,
was
Bosnian pyramids, and whatever you
Bosnian
would say,
pyramids.
only from your mapping or pattern experience, if you would say that there's anything there or what it could be. Because I mean, I've been there, Andreas been there. I can tell just, I mean, it looks like a pyramid or some kind of a heap, whatever it actually is.
Look at this. This is it, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I have.
I mean, what is the likelihood of a shape like this occurring naturally?
I mean, like, I also think that we're looking at a taller one that slid down. Look at for the right there for a second. That flat area there, like this area looks like at one point was a higher one that slid down and they flattened it out, this whole town. The midtown, which is like the high Kingstown. So you got the low town here that like all that town that's all orange is Visoko. And then that flat area there behind the thing, which looks like it was a larger pyramid, right? Like that's all flattened out and turned into the Viking town. And then yeah, you saw that. Like there's a castle right in the top back. Yeah, but that whole flat area used to be this back part, which is like an even higher one. And they have channels and tunnels through the whole thing, which prove it, which is also crazy. I mean, like that they would like the tunnels can make it, but they're filled up with
But there's
sediment. So
there's like a supposed 3 of them, right?
yeah, exactly. There's like that one up in the north there. You see that
This one.
across? Yeah, and then one to the left there too. I think there's that one there. But yeah,
I mean, I think
arguably,
this-
the back one was
This holds merit in
Right.
shape.
and that's
that
where the
has-
Viking town was. The
I
Viking
mean,
kings.
let me see if I can.
The Bosnian kings, right? Slavic Rus. Straight across, bruh.
So you should have something going down.
Of course, it's always the question with the mining sites. The main thing I just want to say is that it doesn't necessarily look natural to me, or like human intervention of whatever kind.
I mean, underneath this tree line is a bunch of concrete, so like the whole thing is actually poured.
That's the thing, because I also did you go to that other pyramid where there's concrete shells are
Yeah.
like poured on it and it's splattered
well,
around?
on
It's
this-
really strange.
It's on this one too.
Okay.
The whole thing has it. There's whole. If you walk up these certain areas, my brother and I took like 2 paths. We took the really hard path, which is right through the center middle of the dark side you saw there, from the town up, right through the middle there, which I was like, this is crazy. And then we realized that there was like a more convenient path to go down, so we descended, from the castle around the thing. You can see there's concrete pour all through, and ceramic concrete pour all through the backside there, and then underneath a lot of the greenery here, where like certain trees have sprouted up, but it's difficult for anything to grow because it is growing through the old concrete slabs. There's just those concrete slabs are calculated to be 20,000 years old. I assume it's like 6,000 to like 8,000.
Well,
but
of
like
course,
carbon dating is showing like the
Anatoly Fomenko, of course, has issues with carbon dating, which I tend.
like,
But
who's
what's
gonna
still
trust-
clear is that this is not an official government site. The government isn't interested in it because at least they should be analyzing this concrete.
Well,
properly, or
I
who
wouldn't
made
say
it,
that they're interested. They don't want people to know. So like this is like Tibet or Israel. It's like a UN site. Bosnia Herzegovina is not like the rest of the European Union. It's its own place outside of the European Union with visas and borders, etc. And it's protected because of the Bosnia Herzegovina war, which was like a Muslim, Christian, even anti-Semitic, some might say, crisis. So it's an internationally protected place, and they keep people from studying it because they say, well, even if you think that 20,000 years ago there was something more, we know for sure that the Bosnian kings lived there centuries ago, right? And so studying the Bosnian kings and not ruining that site takes precedent over studying like Neanderthalic ruin, which is what they would assume would exist that long ago in Bosnia. So they don't really want to disturb the Bosnian kings, which is their nationalist interest.
Bonus feature.
Yeah, true. Take that, Bosnia. Something pretty hardcore about that snow pyramid, you gotta admit.
That one.
You're always
That
looking
one.
around the pyramid for the
That
other
one.
pyramids.
It's like Star Force. They don't want to be alone.
What were there like trees on them, or did it just look like that? Was it just like?
No, this is not. It's just.
This is a desert, man. Snow desert. That
This
is
is
gotta
rock,
be.
either rock face or pyramid face.
You know, like I usually want to live on a tropical island, but there's a sick part of me that could mum rot right out in that snow pyramid. Think about it. Think
Yeah, if you
about
get
it.
to live inside of it,
Yeah, that kind of could be based. You get like
no one's
movie
gonna come
mattress,
disturb you.
couple snow snow
I'm
pillows.
sure they have good internet uplink there too, so should be fine.
Oh yeah, I saw the Fitbit scan. Yeah, it's like clearly a lot of traffic down there, but I think you could still get good signal. Whoa, look at that! Oh, I hate to be like seeing pareidolia, but dang girl, look at you,
Wow.
look at you, y'all winking at me.
It's
I mean,
funny.
come
You're
on,
like,
like, what do you think the deal is with that? Do you think that there's like,
what the hell is this weird little pillar casting shade?
you think someone's
doing
making
here?
faces, like they're carving faces out on purpose because they're like, this would be funny. Like, we should have a giant face that just freaks people out. That's like, come on, that doesn't even. That's a joke. That looks like a South Park alien. That doesn't even.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon, bro.
You do get bored from time to time, you know?
I
You see
mean,
shit.
that's wild. That's pretty adorable. I mean, come on. Maybe someone CGI'd that, but that's just too much. That's probably like, you know what we should do? We shouldn't just blur it out. We should put a face there, so that people look crazy when they talk
Yeah,
about that.
right. They
Face.
started going wild.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Antarctica face. And the hard to get places in Scandinavia. I think you got a couple of those, but there's also that. Antarctica's beautiful though. Look at all this. Totally that shape. Believe it. Looks just like that.
Funny that.
Based. All right. Well, is there anything else that we should you want to point out before I have a second 13th Monkey Pop novelty pop song
Oh Lord.
to close this out with. So I just want to make sure that we get our money's worth here. Wow, another one. Where's this? Is it Argentina? I'm sorry, I didn't see where you zoomed in.
In the middle of Argentina.
Nice. Could just tell. Yeah, Argentina's crazy. Like, nobody wants to talk about the middle of Argentina. Everybody lives in a city far, far away from the middle of Argentina. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how big it is also. It's just so much bigger than the map, like, kind of suggests.
It's
I guess-
huge.
It's huge. It's very big. Takes like
Not as big as Brazil, but it's big.
takes a long time to drive through Argentina, man. Takes a long time. Just miles, nothing but miles, like African prairie and savanna. That's cool.
Any requests? Anything we want to see? It's like, oh, I know there's a star fort there. Can you show?
Someone asked about the hard to reach. Bring it. Asked about the hard to reach places in Scandinavia.
Like this
Norway?
one?
There's some, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this, and we had a request for northernmost star fort we can close it out with.
Ah, that's this one.
Oh, that looks nice.
Well then, here we are. That's a cute one, but also this doesn't look like it's made for rifle. No.
Well, I'm always curious about like the Star of Melchizedek, right? Because it's specific. It's not just the Jewish star or like the Babylonian like Star of Solomon.
Right.
It's like that star has to do with the right Melchizedek is the Zodek is like a righteous man, or Melka is like the ruler. So it's like a righteous ruler that has the right to tax you, to tax. So
Nothing
the
to
idea that
see
we're
here, but-
seeing, We're seeing tax forts, I think, when we see the Melchizedek forts. Where's that?
Canada-stan.
Oh, yeah. Man. Hey, and like, shout out to all of our Canadistanians who watch in the Great White North, eh?
There's a lot of towns called fort in Canada. As you can see, there's all of these black stars is all towns.
The
called
next couple
fort
years are
something.
going to be wild because they're getting all the lidar scans in Canada, and like I think there's been another dozen star forts that have been lidar scanned, that were lost in Canada in the last year. God bless you.
Thank you. Well, if there's
And
no
just
more,
as a last question, just so people aren't confused, I also always asked about this. What is the blue star in the middle of the ocean? It's just a legend you said, I believe, right?
yeah, that's a legend. Like if
Yeah.
you
In terms of description,
at some point, I might release this thing to the public, and then you can click on the big blue star, and it shows you whatever it means and some thank yous from people that
right.
contributed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, 13th Monkey.
Thank you for having me. Oh, it's been a good 3 hours.
Tartary taking home. Where starforts gleam so bright and shiny, who made those colors are being pulled. Hidden by the mud flood, swept under the rug, mystery buried deep, getting dug under that Masonic checkered rug. Hey, hey, it's the 13th monkey, swinging tree to tree, finding all the starforts, setting history free, from Tartaria to the world, in every place in town. The 13th monkey's gonna find them, turn it all around. They tried to keep it secret in a hush-hush kind of way, but the monkey's on a mission and he's never gonna sway. With his keen eyes wide open and his heart full of cheer, he's uncovering the starforts, making everything clear. Hey, hey, it's the 13th monkey, swinging tree to tree, finding all the starforts, setting history free, from Tartaria to the world, in every place in town. The 13th monkey's gonna find them, turn it all around. Well, the starforts are awaiting in the valleys and the hills, with their secrets and their wonders, giving everyone the thrills. The monkey's on the case now, like a detective on the go, bringing light to all the mysteries, letting everyone know. We'll gather round and listen to the monkey's happy song about the starforts and their wonders, giving everyone the thrills. The monkey's on the case now, like a detective on the go, bringing light to all the mysteries, letting everyone know. So gather round and listen to the monkey's happy song about the starforts and their magic, where they've been hidden so long. From the north down to the southlands and the east out to the west, the 13th monkey's on a roll, and he's doing what he does best. Hey, hey, it's the 13th monkey, swinging tree to tree, finding all the starforts, setting history free, from Tartaria to the world, in every place in town. The 13th monkey's on a roll, and he's doing what he does best. Hey, hey, yeah, the 13th monkey's swinging and the starforts are in sight. He's revealing all the secrets, bringing everything to light. So let's dance and let's sing in the 50s poppy way. The starforts and the monkey, they've got so much to say.